Have you ever noticed how some people never rush to defend themselves, yet they are rarely questioned? They don't over-explain. They don't argue. They don't panic when misunderstood. They simply let silence do the work. And somehow, that silence carries weight. Now imagine if you stopped explaining yourself. If you stopped clarifying every decision, stopped justifying every boundary, stopped defending every opinion. What do you think would happen? That's where the real shift begins. Because the moment you stop explaining, you remove access. You remove the illusion that everyone is entitled to your reasoning. And that makes people uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. You are taught that explaining yourself is maturity, that clarifying is kindness, that defending yourself is strength. But what if constant explanation is actually fear? Fear of being disliked, fear of being rejected, fear of losing control of how others see you. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But how can you become who you truly are if you are constantly adjusting yourself to fit someone else's interpretation? Every time you over-explain, you hand over authority. You subtly say, "Please approve my decision. Please understand me. Please don't leave." And people feel that. Not consciously, but energetically. The more you justify, the more negotiable you become. And the more negotiable you become, the less solid you appear. Think about it. Who feels the need to explain themselves constantly? The insecure? The guilty? The ones who doubt their own choices? But the grounded? They state, they act, they move on. No performance, no defense, no emotional debate. And here is the uncomfortable truth. When you stop explaining yourself, some people will accuse you of being cold. Not because you changed, but because you stopped giving them emotional access. And access is power. The world runs on psychological leverage. People feel safe when they can predict your reactions, when they know you'll clarify, when they know you'll defend, when they know you'll come back to fix the tension. But when you don't, the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, they have to sit with uncertainty, and most people cannot tolerate uncertainty. That's why they push, provoke, misinterpret, accuse. Not because you're wrong, but because your silence removes their control. Jung spoke about the persona, the social mask we wear to be accepted. Constant explanation is one of the most common masks. You explain to maintain harmony. You explain to avoid conflict. You explain to secure belonging. But every mask costs psychic energy. And your energy is not infinite. Every unnecessary defense, every long clarification, every emotional justification, that's energy leaking. Now ask yourself honestly, how many times have you replayed a conversation in your head trying to explain yourself better? How many nights have you lost sleep crafting the perfect message so someone wouldn't misunderstand you? That's not maturity. That's exhaustion disguised as virtue. Jung understood something profound. He said, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size." The more you try to control how others perceive you, the more power you give them over your identity. And here's the irony. The people who truly respect you rarely require explanation. They observe your pattern, they trust your character, they accept your boundaries. It's the manipulators who demand clarity, because clarity allows negotiation, and negotiation allows pressure. When you stop explaining yourself, manipulative dynamics collapse. Because manipulation feeds on dialogue. It feeds on guilt, on emotional elaboration, on over-justification. Remove those and the game ends. But this is where it gets deeper. Most of your need to explain isn't about them. It's about you. It's about your discomfort with being misunderstood, your discomfort with being judged, your discomfort with not being seen correctly. And that discomfort is rooted in identity and security. If you are internally solid, misinterpretation doesn't shake you. It may annoy you, but it doesn't destabilize you. The strongest individuals are not the loudest. They are the most centered. They don't rush to fix perceptions. They let time reveal truth. And here's something few talk about. When you stop explaining yourself, you will lose certain people. Because some relationships are built entirely on your willingness to justify. When that disappears, so do they. And that loss will sting. You will feel guilt. You will feel harsh. You will feel misunderstood. But that discomfort is the withdrawal symptom of self-abandonment ending. There is a sacred form of detachment that Jung described in the process of individuation. A stage where you step back from the collective noise and begin acting from your own center. Not from approval, not from fear, not from emotional bargaining, but from clarity. And clarity is quiet, very quiet. You don't announce it. You embody it. You don't argue it. You live it. There is immense power in saying, "This is my decision," and leaving it there. No footnotes, no emotional paragraphs, no courtroom defense, just presence. Because when you over-explain, you subconsciously assume the other person holds authority over your choice. But they don't. You do. The modern world pressures you to be constantly responsive. Instant replies, instant clarifications, instant emotional accessibility. But speed is not strength. Restraint is. The pause before responding, the refusal to engage in unnecessary debates, the comfort with being temporarily misunderstood, that is psychological sovereignty. And sovereignty always feels lonely at first, because you are no longer performing. You are no longer managing perceptions. You are no longer negotiating your identity. You are simply standing in it. And that unsettles people who benefited from your uncertainty. So let me ask you something directly. How many of your explanations are truly necessary? And how many are attempts to control how you are seen? If you stopped explaining yourself today, who would panic? Who would get irritated? Who would accuse you of changing? Observe that carefully. It reveals everything. Because the moment you no longer feel the need to justify your existence, your choices, your boundaries, you step into a different level of presence, a presence that does not beg, does not chase, does not defend. It simply is. And from that place, something remarkable happens. You become rare, and what is rare is respected. Now I'll leave you with this. Are you ready to be misunderstood for the sake of your peace? Are you ready to let silence speak for you? Because the moment you stop explaining yourself, you stop shrinking. And the moment you stop shrinking, you become undeniable. Write in the comments, "I trust my decisions." And let's see who here is ready to stop negotiating with their own identity. I'll see you in the next one.